Yes, people, it's finally happening. We're live. Apologies for the lateness once again. As you know, the Canadian Grand Prix is hella late over here in Thailand, so shit happens, but we're alive, we're back. Obviously, just seen that PSG slapped as well. PSG slapped Atletico as well. But we're live, people, we're live. Uh, Augustia King, let's let's talk about it. Let's discuss this sort of revenge tour for a certain driver.
Yeah, I mean PSG weren't the only team who slapped and spanked. A couple other drivers also had a couple spankings in between. Nah, Kevin and King, I hope you're doing well. That was look for the Canadian Grand Prix. It wasn't the most entertaining Grand Prix, but there were some very entertaining and outstanding moments.
I
I
tell
was
you firsthand. Tell you
Lit
firsthand.
literally, man. I mean, look, I was at the club. I was trying to stream it while I was at the club. Both of you know that. But man, when I saw that catalyst, that cataclysmic moment when Lando and Oscar collided, I was like, dude, I'm alive. I feel like I'm in a different dimension. So, it is so good to finally have the remix of Hamilton Rosberg with Oscar Piastri and
So,
Lando Norris. And yeah, I think this championship has taken a turn for the better. At least if you're not a McLaren fan like Liam Mujajik, who's obviously dipped the show because he doesn't want to talk about his team's shortcomings. So, King and Ekevin, I hope you guys are doing good. Nice to be back on a stream with both of you, of course.
I'm calm, bro. I'm calm, man. I'm just a bit like. We'll get into it. King, Jojo, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised with this race, to be honest, for the most part. Um, I expected a bit more from the McLarens. Um, Obviously the ending happened, but I thought they had a bit more pace in them. Strong pace from Mercedes. Ferrari wasn't there. Hamilton wasn't unfortunate because he got I think an issue with his wing, so he had like half a second a lap, pretty much loss of downforce. So he was never. Once that happened, his race was done. So it was damage control for him.
Yeah.
Outside of that, yeah, man, it was a pretty quiet race. Nothing much happened till one incident between the McLaren drivers. Outside of that, I was expecting more from the first corner. I was expecting more, but outside of that, just yeah, a nice little race, a nice little race. I was hoping the incident was a bit earlier, so that at least there was some racing after the safety car, because a race ending in safety car conditions is kind of boring. I was like, come on, man, I need some entertainment, but yeah,
Let's just be
excited.
honest. Let's just be honest with you, yeah. The fact that Red Bull are even launching a fucking protest on Mercedes winning the Grand Prix is a bit sus. It's a bit sus because the fact that George Russell ended up winning the race, right, and Max came, what was it, second, just tells you everything that you need to know that these guys are salty about George Russell winning it all. Hence why in the title, I decided to put George Russell's Karma versus Max, and it was. Me and King spoke on the preview earlier. We gave our predictions. King, remind me your predictions, by the way. Remind me your predictions. So I have mine.
Oh, my prediction. I had two. I had one where they collided, which I thought that was going to happen, and one where they didn't. The one where they didn't, which they didn't collide, I had Oscar winning because I felt like they would finish second and third, and I thought Oscar would have a bit more pace. But the issue with Oscar is he couldn't get past Kimi. So the moment that happened, but the moment I saw that, I was like, yeah, no, it's over for the McLarens. Yeah. If one of the McLarens got past Kimi, I think one of them could have won because I think they had pace in that car. But, they just couldn't get past Kimi.
Our top three was I said Oscar would win. I said Max comes second. I think I said Max comes second, and my Ferrari bias had to put Lewis Hamilton in third because for some reason I believed in him this weekend. I was like, P5 does not tell you the whole story. I said he's gonna go to the max, he's gonna win, but he got P5. And at the end of the day, P5 and P6, I'm kind of disappointed, King. I can't lie. I'm disappointed, bro. I expected more from Ferrari this weekend. I thought this was a bit.
No. It's what we deserved. We should have got 6 and 7, to be honest. Obviously, the incident happened. Lewis got, as I said, Lewis got the damage. So once you have damage,
Yeah, I did say it was. I did say in the previous. This is gonna be a front wing race, and I was right.
Yeah.
And if you can't fix your front wing, you ain't gonna win this race. This race had terrible grip on the track as well. The grip on the track was terrible. You had to manage your tires very, very well. Ferrari didn't. I don't think they managed their tires to the extent.
No, they made the wrong decision. They should have gone for a one stop strategy. They should have risked it. They should have left Charles out longer and gone for a one stopper. I think if they did that, they would have had a more of a chance. They had to do something risky because they didn't have the race pace of the Mercedes or McLaren.
I think they pitted at the wrong time as well. I'll be honest with you. I think they should have pitted at the exact same time. I think when George Russell pitted, I think that was when Ferrari should have said, "You know what, we're pitting now as well." Because I don't think they pit at the right time, in my opinion. But sorry, but yeah, King, what was your top three again? You said Oscar.
I don't know if it was either Oscar George Max or Oscar Max George. It was them three. That was the podium.
And I did question you as well at the start. Yeah, that is McLaren. I did try to get an answer out of you. Yeah, I did try to ask you whether McLaren would be the fastest car going into this weekend. I did say, who do you, if all tires are right, whose car would be the fastest? You ended up saying Mercedes at the end. Maybe Mercedes.
No. I said McLaren. McLaren was the fastest car. They just didn't get past Kimi. When it comes to a race like this, when there's only one place where you can overtake, it's down to the driver to actually get the job done. There was points where Oscar, I would say the only mistake he made is he should have got past Kimi. Even if you have to force your way through, because that's the difference between a winner and you not getting the points you deserve. And then silly enough is instead of having team orders where you get the faster driver past the slower driver, which I thought they should have done by allowing Lando to get past Oscar and then have him try and go at Kimi. Because if they got past Kimi, they would have caught Max easily and they would have caught George because they had fresher tires and they were much quicker and there wouldn't have been the incident that happened as well. But McLaren, that's what they do. They're soft on their drivers. They allow them to race each other, and then now you lose out points. And you may say, "Oh, it's not a big deal. They're ahead by this much." But in the second half of the season, when Mercedes or Red Bull are the quickest car and they're not getting the same points, this is going to be the race where you look at, oh, that could have been a decider, but for the main championship or the drivers' championship.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we did say that what was it, Max versus George Russell was going to be a thing. I did kind of say they both were going to crash out. I was like, I had a really bad feeling at the start, like, because you already know them two already like wheel to wheel with each other. I'm like, okay, this shit's going to go down here. But I guess I want to hear your thoughts on the race, man, as a whole, because obviously, like, King's made his points on obviously the two.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
The reason there wasn't a crash at the start is because George had the better start.
Yeah,
that allowed him to get away from Max.
Yeah.
The moment that happened, if Max had a better start, it would have been an issue because you saw they both were like when they lined up, they both were inclined towards each other. So George having such a great start allowed him to get away, and once he got away, this season, as I said in the preview, that if you're in front, your tires are going to last longer than those behind you because you're not pursuing it, and that's what happened to Max. Is he tried to pursue George, you're gonna kept past him. His tires went away in the first stint, and then it was easy for George from then.
Preach. I mean, King, if I didn't know you were human, I would have thought you're a fax machine because you're cooking facts right here. Again, to answer your question, what I made of the race, yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off everything you guys said. I hate to break it to you. For content, I'd love to disagree, but I can't. I agree. On Lando and Oscar, good.
Up to you, bro. Don't have to agree if you don't want to, man. It's all good.
No, I mean everyone who's seen me once on this channel knows. Like, if I have an opinion, I'm gonna stand by it. I'm gonna stand by it till the very end. I'm never gonna fold or compromise. But in terms of this race itself, yeah, I mean, look, I expected it to be entertaining, much more entertaining than Imola, than Spain, than Monaco. It wasn't necessarily more entertaining, Ekevin, as point in case I was at the club. I was more focused on the club. You fell asleep. That tells you everything you need to know about the race itself. But there were moments, and there were moments to definitely dissect from this race itself. Now, when you talk about the outcome of this race, kudos to Mercedes.
Big up to you, my G. Big up to you, bro.
Big up, yeah, 100%. Big up, Mob Boss legend.
He was in what was it? He was in Rasta's chat earlier, so he might need a subscriber. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Sorry,
amazing. I love to see the commitment. No, for sure. Yeah, if we talk about the top 4 teams, King, you mentioned the McLaren incident. You're right. I mean, of course, it was 100% avoidable. But I'll play devil's advocate, and we had this conversation before this live stream. I do think that, hey, if I'm McLaren, if I'm Zach Brown, if I'm Andrea Stella, I'm not going to intervene. Forget papaya rules. Let them fight. Because truth be told, even if Red Bull do have the fastest car at the end of the season, even if Mercedes do have the fastest car at the end of the season, they do not have the drivers to compete or to contend, or let alone to conquer McLaren at the end of the season. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris are the most balanced, the most composed, are the most capable duo. Ekevin, I know we had this conversation at the beginning of the year. Do you remember the first stream we did with us 4 this season? You and I both said McLaren is the best driver partnership this season. We even said it ahead of the likes of Leclerc and Hamilton and Albon.
The most balanced partnership, I would maybe argue it's Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz potentially. But in terms of like right now, yeah, you could maybe say McLaren.
Sure,
Yeah,
but if you account for pace, Ekevin, let's say you account for pace, right? Obviously, Albon and Sainz aren't in the conversation. They're in the midfield. They're at the upper echelons of the midfield at their ceiling, whereas the McLaren at their floor, they're still contending. So I would say McLaren is the best duo, and they're like double the amount of points as second place. You don't even know who's second place. Second place is a game of poker. Second place is a game of a yo-yo. Any of the 3 teams, Red Bull or Max Verstappen Racing, Mercedes, Ferrari, they're competing for second place. McLaren have 1 foot on that title, retaining that championship again. So I would say this, King, I understand. Yes, of course you want to maximize your points if you're the papaya, if you're the American, if you're Zach Brown. But at the same time, honestly, you don't want to alienate these drivers, because I really can't think of an upgrade in terms of a long-term, let alone short-term partnership. Because if you're McLaren, King, are you going to get Max Verstappen? No. Are you going to get Lewis Hamilton back? No. Are you going to get Charlie Leclerc? Probably not. Are you going to lure George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, Isaac Hadjar? Probably not. So I think let them fight. Because even if Red Bull and Merck, the Silver Arrows, have that supreme car in the second half of the season, they're not going to have the wherewithal to spare and to tussle with McLaren. So I think with McLaren, yes, of course it's disappointing. Yes, of course it's bittersweet. Yes, of course it's a bit of a basically stepping on a Lego piece. At the same time, you're still so ahead in the Constructors' Championship. I don't think it's much to worry about. And as a matter of fact, the fact that you let them fight it out shows that both drivers, you have trust in them, you have confidence in them to execute their capabilities. So with McLaren, I would say as a neutral, as someone who doesn't support McLaren, I'm really glad that happened, because that has excited this championship, that has basically emboldened this championship, made it fun to watch. And then when it comes to Mercedes and Red Bull, yeah, kudos to George Russell. Kudos to him, because I've said this before and I'll say it again. He has been my MVP this season, my MIP this season. Let me correct myself. He has been so mature. Over the years when he's been at Mercedes with Lewis Hamilton, he's always been the driver that's basically had the optimized car. Hamilton was the one doing the guinea pig setups. Hamilton was the one tweaking his car. So kudos to George Russell, because not only has he become the driver willing to take on the experimental setups, but he's also the driver taking on the leadership role, and he's paying dividends. He's head and shoulders alongside Max Verstappen, the best of the rest. So entertaining race, but yeah, kudos to George Russell.
And just quickly answer this question: is Max in the Drivers' Championship race? I wouldn't say he's technically within touching distance of them, but maybe yeah. It's still a long season ahead. I think this is only the 9th race of the season still, so I still think we got a long way to go. He kind of is. He still is. I could say he is. I don't know how far off he is, but I think he is. He still is in the race.
I agree.
They're
Actually,
going to Vienna, Austria next. So tune into that one. We'll be previewing that on the channel, so make sure you guys tune in. These Italians infuriating me. Frustrating me. Fair enough. I understand you. What was Norris thinking through that gap where he could have taken out Piastri? Also, that's my point. You see, I don't mind them racing each other if it means it was more like a team. It was like a team sort of team game, yeah. But the fact that they took each other out, yeah, or at least Lando got taken out, and the fact that Oscar could have damaged his car as well. It could have costed the entire McLaren team this weekend. It was only the one McLaren team that made it. It was only the one McLaren driver that made it. The fact that Lando Norris crashed, yeah, and the fact that let's say the fact that he got knocked out of the race by his own teammate is wild. I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, Oscar Piastri knocked his own teammate out of the race. The two McLaren drivers that have been dominating this entire 2025 season. One of them knocked each other out. It could have been a double knockout if they weren't careful. But listen, I'm enjoying this, man. I'm hoping the McLaren downfall starts now, man. I really, really do. 198 Piastri, Norris 176, Verstappen 155. Okay, fair enough. So it's still within touching distance, then I guess you could say. But yeah, you might want to continue.
Yeah, can I add? I'll add on to
course.
2 points.
Of course.
The point you said about Oscar had nothing to do with the Norris incident. That was all Norris's fault. If you're the driver ahead of Norris, you have a blind spot. You can't see who's directly behind you. It was up to Norris to go to the right. That's where the space was. He went for a gap that was non-existent, and this is an example of his own mentality shining through. The mentality that stops him from getting the pole positions, the mentality that is going to stop him from winning the drivers' championship, and that mentality that needs to be better, because this is a mistake that cost you everything. It lost you. One race without any points is a problem in the drivers' championship. In the constructors, maybe not so much, but in the drivers' championship, it is. Because what happened to your two biggest rivals? Verstappen finished second, Piastri finished fourth, so they get points and you don't. Also, George finished first, and if Mercedes towards the second half has a better car, George is capable enough of winning multiple races. He's shown he has won races before. He won a race today, and he can run other races as well. So for me, also, I don't agree that that McLaren is outright the best duo. When it comes to Mercedes, they have George Russell and they have the up and coming Kimi. Max and Yuki with the right car can get points as well. In the end of the day, any one of these drivers in these elite teams, given the right tools, given the right car, will have the capability of hitting 1-2s, especially if it's Mercedes or Red Bull or Ferrari. So giving up any points in any race is going to be a problem. Maybe not in the short term, but in the long term it can be. And then the other point I would say is this for me. As much as you can say, oh, this is a great duo, Formula One is not the same every year and year. Drivers change, people move on from team to team. If anything, right now, Lando Norris's spot is up for grabs, in my opinion, in the future, if he carries on this trajectory of the level that he's showing and the immaturity. Because Oscar's showing elite level when he isn't. And the reality is this. There's always guys coming up. There's always the next guy. There's always F2. McLaren has their own academy. Ferrari has an academy. Red Bull has an academy. And some of the drivers that they produce are getting younger and younger, better and better. So there's always spaces available. Your seat is not guaranteed. The moment that you show any weaknesses, or you're not good enough, or you don't have the mentality to be in the sport, you're not a winner. You will get moved on.
I can't say the same for Ferrari though. I can't lie. This Ferrari seat is almost guaranteed.
Ekevin, Ferrari aren't in this conversation, bro. Sorry.
No. Don't disrespect Ferrari. They removed Sainz quickly. People would say that Leclerc and Sainz was a great duo, and as soon as Lewis Hamilton came available, they went for him. If Verstappen comes available,
King, can I correct you? Lewis Hamilton is the exception. He's literally the exceptional one. He's the exception that doesn't define the rule. Any other driver,
Ferrari's never. Sebastian Vettel got removed. He's a world champion. Alonso got moved on. He's a world champion. World champions get moved on when it comes to the cars.
But King, that was based on performance. That wasn't based
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Performance. If you don't show the levels here or here when you're driving, you will get moved on. So Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, their seats aren't safe.
So why hasn't Leclerc been moved then?
Why hasn't Leclerc been moved? He's shown up until this point, he's been an elite driver. He's been the number one driver for Ferrari. If anything, last season he was better than Sainz. There's a difference. There's a difference between it being the driver and the car. If the car is up to snuff and you're not showing the levels, you can get moved on.
There were times when Carlos Sainz showed that he was the number one guy, whereas Charles Leclerc was still, he was struggling at one point. Compared to now, obviously, I can tell you for sure, Charles Leclerc is literally leading that Ferrari car.
100%. 100%. But I think the main reason Leclerc hasn't been removed is what Mob Bo says. Leclerc is the perfect pretty boy for Ferrari. Exactly. He's a commercial machine. He is the manifestation of boy for Ferrari. And also, he is an unbelievable qualifier. Don't get that twisted. He's perhaps after Max or alongside Max.
Loved by everyone. He's loved by everyone. So he's
the best qualifier. But I have to be honest, I don't think Ferrari also hold themselves to the standards of the best team in Formula One history. I have to be brutally honest here. Because it's the same, I mentioned this with every sport, whether you're Man United or the Lakers. If you're the number one team in terms of revenue, in terms of reach, in terms of ratings, you got to only compete for the championship. And with Ferrari and with Fred Vasseur, like I said, at the beginning of the season, they threw the towel in. And they're willing to gamble a season for one more season. So to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't really. I'm interested to hear what both of you guys think. I'm not really as confident or certain with Ferrari's long-term prospects, simply because if you're willing to throw the white flag in before the season started, how can I trust you to lead the biggest and best franchise in Formula One history?
I don't agree. Fred Vasseur's seat is already in question before the race. They're already looking. Ferrari itself, even though it hasn't been great over these past 2 years, the one thing they do is move people on. Renault got moved on. Fred Vasseur can get moved on. It took Lewis Hamilton to come out and state he still believes in Fred Vasseur. But that doesn't mean anything. You look at if Fred Vasseur doesn't show the levels and doesn't get us within a championship title next season or this season or the next season with Lewis Hamilton in drive, he's gone. Because in the end of the day, Ferrari has.
Even I'm questioning Fred Vasseur at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, Ferrari itself does have that standard. But having the standard and actually showing it, there's a difference, right? You can have the standard because they have the standard. Red Bull has that standard. McLaren has had that standard. Mercedes has had that standard. But in recent years, Mercedes has been nowhere. Or would you say that Mercedes don't have standards in the last couple of seasons?
I'd say Mercedes do have standards, but compared to Ferrari, I would say their standards have kind of dropped in the last couple of years, in my opinion. I don't think.
But that's not standards. That's basically the level of your car. Because at the end of the day, it's cycles.
I would say standard because Lewis Hamilton, right? When he was still with Mercedes, I think there was a time where they were just accepting of how. They were so accepting of how bad their engine was, and then they were just going with it. I'm like, okay, so what's your plan? Are you gonna upgrade your engine? Because the following year, Lewis Hamilton's car still hadn't been upgraded. Yes, he won a couple of races here and there, but it was like a few one-offs. In my opinion, that Mercedes engine was never good enough for Lewis Hamilton. He said, you know what? I'm done. I'm leaving. He said goodbye. Because he knew that Mercedes were on the downfall. He knew that it was time to fold it with Mercedes. He knew that the engine was going to be good enough. He knew that once they started accepting how bad the engines were, yeah, goodbye. He's leaving because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to waste his final years with a car that's not going to contend. And that's the biggest issue. They weren't contending. The standards dropped because they weren't. They knew that the engine was good enough. They weren't going to contend. That's my opinion, at least about Lewis Hamilton's car. I think they should have made bigger upgrades. Off the back of a robbery season, I was expecting Mercedes to be even better and faster. But guess what? The standards just dropped because they decided to accept how bad their engines were. And they did do nothing about it. So that's why
it's not standards. What it is when it comes to the car, when they build a car, they have an idea of how they're going to go about it. So they try to do something innovative.
But then also, King, sorry to interrupt you, bro, and Augusta can go, There were times where Lewis Hamilton has questioned his team literally on the radio plenty of times. He started questioning. So what am I supposed to do then? Am I supposed to stay out then? He started questioning them. He started throwing shade at them because they had no plan. They had no.
Every driver questions their team.
No, but I'm like Tom, this specific one, because Lewis Hamilton is he's like a seven-time world championship. He's like a seven-time world champion, right? He's questioning Mercedes, exactly what was the plan going forward, because he knew, right, that Mercedes just were not doing what's required to win. They weren't doing what's required to win, so they decided that, okay, are you gonna keep me out, or are you gonna start?
What happened to Gustia?
Yeah, I don't know. He'll be back. I think internet. I think internet. Yeah, he's back. Yeah, it was fun. I didn't even remove him from the stream or add him back. He just came back by himself.
Yeah, because some randomly reason my computer battery just died. I have no idea why.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But can I just add one more thing before King you continue? I didn't hear what you said to Ekavin, but I just wanted to piggyback off everything.
I was talking just now.
Sorry.
I was saying that Lewis Hamilton questioned his team so much on the radio. We seen it, bro. Augusta, you and I were talking about this race after race. Like, the fact that Lewis Hamilton still had issues with his team, and they said nothing about it. They because you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the Mercedes off the circuit stuff. You've seen the issues off the circuit. You've seen that Mercedes had some issues. They moved certain people on. They started, firing people. But then again, it didn't help because it was Lewis Hamilton's team that they made changes to as well. And then I questioned, okay, why fix things if it ain't broke? And then your engine ain't good enough as well. Why aren't you fixing that? So you fixed your team, but you didn't fix your engines. I question your standards there. What are your standards? Are you trying to make changes to your team or your engine? Because the engine wasn't good enough in the last 3 years. Ferrari eclipsed them, right? Red Bull way ahead, and now McLaren's eclipsed them. So they've been eclipsed by three cars over the space of 5 years, bro. So
yeah,
I think it's there, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, you make a valid point about the engines. I don't think the engine is the core issue. As a matter of fact, I don't think the engines even have much to do with Ferrari's downfall. My bottom line point here is, if you're the biggest and best franchise in your sport, you should never throw the white flag in before the season has begun. That's all, King. King, when you talk about the micro points in terms of strategies, in terms of setups, and
we ain't tanking this year, but go on.
Yeah, exactly. Point in case Celtics. Exactly. Celtics is the personification of my point, Ekavin. Thank you for saying that. Also, who are the Celtics going to draft? Like, why? Who would you tank for? That doesn't even make sense, like, logically. Anyways, back to Formula One. King, I don't disagree with almost any of the micro points you have. I think Charlie Leclerc deserves to be the Ferrari driver. I don't just think it's commercial. I think commercial is the core reason he remained, but also competitively, he has proven his worth. Same with Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is the winningest, the most successful, the greatest driver in Formula One history. But my point is very simple, and I've said this from the beginning of the season. If you're the best, don't throw the white flag in before the year begun. That's all I have to say. And King, it's not me saying it. Fred Vasseur himself said it. Ferrari execs said it. They said it before the year began. We have receipts from December. We have receipts from the opening show that we did. They said they're going to scrap all the momentum they built from the summer break of 2024, where they were looking like the best team. Remember, they fought the Constructors' Championship title up until the very end, Ekevin, right? Up until Abu Dhabi. Ferrari were in contention to win the Constructors' title. From the summer break on, they looked like the best team in Formula One. They looked better than McLaren, in my opinion. But they scrapped that because they wanted to focus on the new regs, which I understand is acceptable. It's justifiable, but not at the cost of the 2025 season. You can't scrap seasons. That's all. That's the point I had to say. But in terms of the micro instances, King, you're 100% right. I don't disagree with you. I don't. I was just speaking on a macro level.
I'll say this to the issue with them having to scrap a season for next season's regs, unfortunately, with the cost cap issues and with these things of that nature, that's the consequence of the changing of the rules, not just the regulations, but the rules in terms of the money that these teams can spend. So you only have a finite amount of money to improve your car, to do everything you need to do. So you have to make a decision as a team. Are you going to focus on this season, which is just one season, or are you going to focus on dominating the next regulations? Because if you dominate the next regulations, that could be 4 or 5 years of you straight dominating. That's what Mercedes did when they came to the hybrid era. That's what Red Bull did the era after that. You get levels of domination. So I think in terms of Ferrari, it makes sense because there was no way that they were going to win this season. For me personally, because going towards the end of the season, it was trending towards McLaren as being the number one, still being the number one car and being the car to beat. So you have to make a decision. Is it worth spending all that money for one season or for the next regulations where they're changing the way the car looks, the way the design of the car, the engine regulations, and putting that money towards next season where that's going to be multiple seasons of you where you can compete. So that's the difference that makes. In regards to standards for Mercedes, Red Bull, stuff like that, the reason why certain teams have bad seasons is not because of engine. Engine most time is only a little difference. The major problem that Lewis had was the chassis, the way they designed the car. They tried to go with no side pods, and the side pods are important in terms of the aerodynamic nature of the car. That's the difference, how low your car can go. In that era that Mercedes were really bad, there was a thing where the car would scrape against the floor and it would lead to a lot of bouncing. I think they had a name for it, but I forgot the name. But that's what would happen. Many teams struggle to find a way of keeping the car as low as possible without having that bouncing effect. The only team that was able to do that is Red Bull. You know why? Because they had a man called Adrian Newey who was the best in the business. He's gone to Aston Martin. Now, that's why I say next season Aston Martin's a team to look out for because they'll have the best engine and the best guy at designing a new car. That's the difference between the teams. That's why the only issue I have with modern day Ferrari is that they should have done everything in their power to get Adrian Newey as soon as he was about to leave Red Bull. That's when I say Ferrari are wrong. Everything else they've done up to this point is fine in my estimations. And even Charles Leclerc, let's say, if he doesn't show levels the next couple seasons, he'll be moved on. Because as on the other thing we have to understand with Charles Leclerc is that one of the reasons he's in the car is because of his cousin. I think I can't remember his name, but his cousin
Arthur.
Yeah, no, not Arthur. His cousin, the cousin that died on track. I can't remember his name. I forgot his
Jules. No.
Jules. Yeah, Jules. Yeah, because he was related to him, and they both had the dream of playing for Ferrari. That got him as well the role. So there's a bit of sentimentality, RIP to him, with that as well. So that's the reason why he's probably there longer than he probably should be, in my opinion. But at the same time, he's shown that if you give him the car capable, he's one of the fastest in the grid and he can win races. It's down to the whole team environment from top to bottom to create that car. Now, we're going to find out next season whether the decision they made to scrap this season was right or wrong. We'll see. That's good. Next season will be the season that will decide whether Fred Vasseur has a job or not. if they start next season and they're not the best team, he's gone. He's gone completely.
No, but
And-
no,
I need him
no,
gone as well.
I think next season it is win or bust. I know
Yeah.
a lot of sports franchises have that mentality, but this is it. This is the best
Yeah,
example of it. If you win, it's okay. If you don't win, it's a failure.
And this bridges perfectly to this question here. Bossa Blue asks, "Do you think the team of Ferrari is fine at this level? We have seen them at this level for a while now. Maybe just being the biggest brand is one of the biggest motorsport. Gives them a lot of money. That's exactly true because you know what it is. Ferrari are a massive brand, not just a great team, but they're a massive brand as well. Global brand, supported by pretty much everyone in F1, right?
No,
Bro, I'll be honest. They shouldn't be fine. They should not be fine at this level, man. Ferrari should not be fine at the level that they are.
I can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
No, I actually am going to agree with King here. I agree. I think on a micro level, there's no reason for me not to have confidence in Ferrari. They can do all the stuff competently. They can build a car for a race weekend competently. Their strategy this season compared to when they had Matteo Binotto, for example, has been significantly, infinitely better. No doubt about that. They have the drivers. My only issue is the macro objectives. That's it. When it comes to micro tasks, I have no issue. Now, the reason I doubt Ferrari standards is because I don't have enough confidence in Ferrari having the skill level to unanimously usurp, let's say, a McLaren, a Mercedes, a Red Bull. I don't think they have the capability or the capacity to sacrifice the season and ensure that, hey, I know if they fuck up one season, the next year they're going to finish on top. I don't think so, because I don't think they have that ability to ensure that gap between McLaren is made. That's all. Because I think next season McLaren will be up there. The Mercedes engine looks very, very strong. I think Red Bull will definitely be up there if Max is going to stay. So that's my issue. And also, King, you made the point about Adrian Newey. Point in case there, right? Best engine, best architect, best brain in Formula One history. So I don't think the macro objective of Ferrari throwing a season, I understand cost cap, but still throwing a season, but that you had momentum to win and then sacrificing it for a season ahead when there are teams in the same boat as you, I'm not sure that's the right objective. But when you talk about the minute, the small, the day-to-day task, I have no doubt in Ferrari for sure. I think I definitely trust them.
Yeah, they've been better with pit stops with the minor things, but in the major level, yeah, they should have brought in Adrian Newey. I think that was a mistake that they made. Back to Boss's Blues question about the level. If you can put that on the screen, Kevin. In regards to this question, the issue is this with Ferrari. You make more money when you're winners. You make more money when you're winning. Every time Ferrari is on that podium, that's more money for them because people buy brands that are winning. That's when it comes. When any sport that you watch, the most money is spent on the best, the winners, the number one team. So when it comes to Formula One, you're gonna see more people buy Red Bull, Mercedes, and nowadays even McLaren stuff because McLaren are winning. If Ferrari is winning, they will make 20, 30 times the money. They will be clear in terms of financials because they're not just they're not a car company. They're a brand. They're a lifestyle. Ferrari is passion. It's the Formula One sport. So if they ever get back to the top, you're gonna see seas of red everywhere you go. You're gonna see the amount of money that they can make triple, quadruple.
Everybody's a Ferrari fan. Even if you don't say Ferrari fan, you are a Ferrari fan.
You get Hamilton to win a world championship. If you get Hamilton with the 8th championship in a Ferrari, the amount of money you can make from champion Hamilton number 8 with the 8 with the 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 8 with a Ferrari, he can go to any designer brand, whether it be Gucci, Prada, Armani, Tom Ford, get them suits, anything Ferrari, beanies, hats, cups, t-shirts. If they are successful and winning, Ferrari makes a lot more money as a brand because people want to wear stuff of winners. Look at me now. I got Real Madrid. I'm a Chelsea fan. I got Real Madrid. Why I got Real Madrid on? Because they're winners. Because they're winners. And that's what people want to wear. So, like, That's why people wear PSG. They don't even know about football or soccer over in America, but they're wearing PSG drip. Why? Because they're winners. That's what people. When you don't know the sport, you wear the drip of the winners. When it comes to tennis, if I was gonna wear branded merch, I'm gonna get Carlos's merch. I'm gonna get some Spanish thing with his symbol. I'm gonna rock his stuff because he's a winner. That's what people do. So Ferrari need to win. They have to win. It's been too long.
They have to.
They are the Man United of Formula One. They've been a disgrace for 10 to 15 years.
Preach.
And it's now or never. And I think Fred Vasseur it's the first time they have a foreign guy in charge, so he's even more pressure because normally they're all Italianed out. They're more like Italian, spaghetti mafia, all of that. But you got a Frenchman, you got an English driver, and a Monegasque driver. So all three of them, their jobs are under scrutiny because they need to win next season. They need to. As you said, win or bust.
Preach. And again, let me just add, their job should always be under scrutiny. I don't give a shit what you've done before Ferrari. I don't give a shit what you're going to do after Ferrari. If you're in the hot seat, if you're in the biggest and best seat, your job should always be under evaluation and scrutiny.
Under threat. Facts.
Yeah.
Especially
Because it creates complacency.
Yeah, and there's a Britishman called Oliver Bearman in the wings, ready to take a seat if one of those drivers ain't good enough.
And
there's always the next guy.
It should be at every single big franchise as well. Like your place should be under threat, and the standards should be either you do well or you're out.
Yeah,
and that's why I admire these teams.
Ruben Amorim, off.
Well, to be fair with you, what he did to Rashford was fine. Like I understand, it's hard to to wrap my head around United fans not agreeing with that. But at the same time, like we go look at, for example, maybe the Boston Celtics. I'll give you one example. Malcolm Brogdon gone in the space of a year. Yes, he just won Sixth Man of the Year, gone in a year. For Drew Holiday. Why? Because they wanted to win. Difference is the difference. Like sometimes, if you don't do well, if you want to make upgrades, do it for the sake of the team. Sacrifice a good player if you have to. And it worked out. So that's what I'm trying to say. If Ferrari are not winning next year, oh man, it could be hell for the drivers.
Then don't disrespect hell. It will be worse than hell. It'll be a nightmare on steroids if Ferrari don't win. Because all the eggs are in the basket for next year. We've pre-ordered next year's championship. That's what we've done. Ferrari have pre-ordered it. And if the order doesn't come through, well, consequences, checks and balances.
All three of the people that are in Ferrari right now could go. The driver, both the drivers and Vasseur could go in the next couple years.
I think the team needs to shuffle.
They've done the shuffle. They need to win.
No, at the moment you need to commit. If you've committed to the plan before the season, you follow through. As much as I don't agree with it, you have to follow through and consolidate on it. Now, at the end of next season, then we can talk about reshuffling. But until then, we fully back them.
Yeah. And I think Ferrari's been best under, not under Vasseur. This is the best I've seen them since Schumacher.
100%.
I would say that.
Strategy isn't an entire specialty. Well, it was in the late 1990s to early 2000s. So maybe. Appreciate you, my guy Rasta. I will see you in literally 7 hours for another stream.
Bro, that commitment is fucking crazy.
Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Big up to you, Rasta, every single time. Subscribe to Rasta Stocks, people. If you haven't subbed yet, please sub to Rasta Stocks channel, please. I'll be real. I don't think Charles has ever been good enough. Financially, he's brought in back to Ferrari, but this is his prime years. He's in a rookie. Car or no car, Feza is first place. I disagree, respectfully. I think Charles Leclerc has been good enough. Ferrari have not done what was required to go on and get over the line. I thought Charles Leclerc has carried Ferrari in so many moments, especially this year as well. Charles Leclerc has led Ferrari. He's in that Ferrari hot seat for a reason. He's basically the lead driver for a reason. Yes, Lewis Hamilton is a 7-time world champion, but Charles Leclerc is the more experienced driver in the Ferrari seat, and he's led Ferrari to bigger things over the years. He's been the better driver, in my opinion. He's been the best driver for Ferrari in the last 5 years, obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, right? Yes, I've had my doubts over Carlos Sainz versus Charles Leclerc at some point. But at the end of the day, Charles Leclerc was the one who stayed, and he's proving why he stayed. He's proving why he got the chance to stay. So I don't think I don't think Charles. I think Charles has been good enough, but Ferrari themselves haven't been good enough. So I'd say it's that. I wouldn't say Charles Leclerc hasn't been good enough. I'd say he has been. I'd say Ferrari themselves haven't been good enough. Yeah.
Can I add to the Charles point?
Yeah, let's get to the comments quickly first. Yeah. If Jesus win, if it's an eighth, does Lewis go down as Ferrari legend or Mercedes legend? F1 legend.
3 things can be true. He can be a McLaren legend. He can be a Mercedes legend. He can be a Ferrari legend.
I'd say he's more F1 legend than he is in both.
No, he's more a Mercedes legend.
No, of course. He'll always be synonymous with Mercedes, the same way Ronaldo is with Real Madrid, Messi is with Barcelona, Michael Jordan with the Bulls. But again, he can be a legend for all 3. You win a championship, you are a legend. You're engraved in your Hall of Fame forever.
I say he's both a Mercedes legend and an F1 legend, but he raced with McLaren before that as well. So McLaren to Mercedes to Ferrari.
Yeah, but it was Mercedes engine, so he's always been Mercedes engine.
Sorry, Boss of Blue. I thought you actually meant I thought you actually meant Jews. Oh crap, that's crazy.
I don't think there are any Jews on the F1 grid. Sorry, just pointing a fact.
It's gone. If Lewis, okay. Sorry, King. You wanted to make your point. But we
put up the Charles comment
because we do have to go over to George Russell versus Max. Yeah, we haven't spoken much about that at all. We've spoken more about the Ferrari that we have.
I mean, that wasn't really much of a fight. But can I get back to the Charles comment?
Of course.
Please.
Yes, go on. The floor is yours.
No, can I have the Charles comment on the screen? The one I don't think he has.
Sorry.
For me, with this, Boss of Blue, both can be true. For Charles hasn't been good enough and Ferrari hasn't been good enough. There's been too many times, even this weekend, where Charles has crashed in practice. You're too good of a driver. You're too quick of a driver to be crashing in practice. So often. There's been so many moments, especially last season, where it was your mistakes that led to losing points. And I think with Charles, I think he only has maybe 2 seasons left to prove he can be a world champion, because I feel like there's drivers coming up. I said Oliver Behrman. There's guys in F2 coming up as well. And there's only so much time you will be given in a top car before you get moved on, unfortunately. He's been given longer time because of his relationship with Jules, RIP, but his time is coming up. And for me, you can see both of him and Lewis out of Ferrari within the next couple seasons if they don't perform to the level necessary to win. Because that's just the nature of this sport. There's only one seat in this sport that is safe, and that's Lance Stroll, because his dad owns the team. Every other seat is not safe. Because if you look at the grid 5 years ago, you're gonna see a bunch of names that you ain't seeing now. You've had how many rookies? 5, 6 rookies. The sport's getting younger. So anyone over the age of 30, I'm looking at you, Alonso. I'm looking at you, Lewis. Your time's coming up. And Charles, the next generation's here. Kimmy's here. Yeah. Had your seasons here. Oliver Behrman. Colapinto got just beat Gasly as well. So you can't, when it comes to Formula 1, you can't rest on your laurels. There is no safe seat. Even Lando Norris, your seat can be taken, because in the end of the day, these teams are gonna look at who's the next big thing? Because that's what happened. That's what was Oscar Piastri was a poach from Alpine. They saw him as the next big thing. They took him. Alpine are probably still regretting this to this day. So, and with a new team coming as well, there's 2 more seats, but there's 22 seats out of the hundreds of drivers that want to become Formula 1 drivers, and then the 20 plus that are in Formula 2, the other 20 that are in Formula 3, the hundreds that are in Formula 4s, they're coming. So you got a finite amount of time, and your time's running up for the likes of So unless you've got multi-year contract, and guess what? Sergio Perez had a multi-year contract, but guess what? When a better choice came through, or he wasn't good enough, he got removed. Because that's what this business is
He got
about.
exposed for what he was.
Some people would say Sainz is better than Leclerc, but they had to make a choice. They made a choice. They got rid of Sainz.
I did at one point last season, but at the same time, Charles Leclerc completely flipped the switch.
Yeah, so no seat is safe except for Lance Stroll.
I think Charles Leclerc has been good enough. I just think Ferrari have themselves not been good enough. I think Ferrari more themselves not been good enough because I looked at Ferrari last season, right, or the year in 2022. Do you remember the year when Charles Leclerc he started the year off so well, so well to the point where I questioned Ferrari's strategies because look at the qualifying results. They were getting pole after pole after pole. It was the in-race management by the Ferrari team that let Charles Leclerc down, that let Carlos Sainz down.
No, both. There was one time where in Monaco where he got pole, but then he crashed. That's not the team. That's him as an individual.
Which year was that? I don't remember which year was that.
It was like a couple. It was he had the Monaco curse for a while before he won it. There was one year where he got pole but crashed.
Right.
It was like
2020,
2021.
I was looking at Monaco. I'm looking at more like the whole 2022 because Charles Leclerc hadn't won a race up until Austria, which was baffling to me. So, no, but even then, like, I don't think Charles Leclerc has been at fault for most of it. I think it's more the Ferrari team. I still think it's been good enough, but listen, that's my opinion. Augustia, do you want to add anything before we move on to the next and final topic?
No, I agree. I mean, again, I agree with everything you said. I'll just talk about it on the micro level. If you focus on this season, it's really hard to say where Leclerc is at because I said this last season, and I'm not trying to big up myself. I'm not trying to be arrogant or boast whatsoever. I did say this year for Lewis Hamilton, it's going to be about regaining his rhythm and acclimating to Maranello. Ekevin, you made the very good point that, hey, Lewis Hamilton's in a new environment, new engine. He's always been a McLaren engine, a Mercedes engine, as King, you said. So for Lewis Hamilton, this year was about regaining his rhythm. So we don't really know how good Leclerc is necessarily because Hamilton is obviously producing uncharacteristic performances. But for sure, Leclerc, I think, has delivered to the level that he should be delivering. But next year will be make or break. That's it. When it comes to Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, when it comes to Charles Leclerc and Ferrari, when it comes to Fred Vasseur and Ferrari, when it comes to everybody in Ferrari, from mechanic to financer, next year is make or break. And until then, I think we just have to back them because everybody in Ferrari at the moment has shown that they have the resume, the repertoire, and the ability to produce. So, I agree with everything you said on Leclerc. I think it's a mixed bag, right? Leclerc has made some unforced errors. Leclerc should probably have been more in command of the situation. There are certain races where you could talk about, hey, Leclerc, like Sainz, for example, or Hamilton, for example, should have dictated his strategy rather than letting Ferrari, who are error prone, basically lead him. But at the same time, it's like, you know what, for a younger driver who Ferrari have basically backed everything into, who's blossoming in Ferrari, who's becoming his own man, he's grown and matured a lot. So next season is really it. Next season where it's either hit or miss. And that will tell you everything you need to know, the boss of the blue.
Next question, or the next topic we're going to move on to, obviously, is Max versus George Russell. The two drivers that fiercely hate each other for obvious reasons, for multiple reasons as well. Last 2 weeks ago, we've seen that obviously on this channel we had that rant about Max Verstappen's reckless driving. We had that discussion about whether Max should be punished. Personally, I don't think he should be driving this race anyways because of what he did. I don't think he should have even been driving this race. I think he should have been given a penalty. Right?
It was a deliberate accident, right? He purposefully crashed into Russell, and there needed to be a precedent set.
And you know what's funny? They both finished literally wheel to wheel with each other on qualifying, and it was set up for, what do you call? I say a very nervous start. I was very nervous. I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen here? I'm not even a George Russell or Max fan, yeah, but I was nervous as to what was gonna happen at the start. I was like, shit, are they gonna crash into each other? Are they gonna knock each other out? Turns out George Russell had the better start, and he won the race. And now you have Red Bull appealing on George Russell winning it. Obviously, the irony that it is George Russell, you are appealing because Max Verstappen came second, right? So obviously you're gonna appeal. You're not gonna let your biggest rival win. You're gonna try to do anything to take your rival down. But I'm sorry, yeah, this has become childish from Red Bull now. Genuinely, it's become childish now. And from Max as well, from a Max standpoint, it has become very childish. Just accept it that you've not been good enough this week, or not this week in general, right? That you've not been at the level that you should be, and move on. Yes, you came second. Yes, you lost to your rival. But you should count yourself lucky that you should even be racing this race, anyways. You shouldn't. In my opinion, He shouldn't have been racing today. He shouldn't have been racing today. I'll be honest with you. He shouldn't have been. He can count himself lucky for that. But I'll let you guys talk. George Russell gets his karma versus Max Verstappen. Floor is yours. I gotta say over to you first.
Yeah, I agree with you, Akavin. I think at the end of the day, we've moved into a phase of not just Formula One, but sport, where respect and basically being relatable with the audience and setting a good message as a role model has taken priority. And if you're Max Verstappen, as he basically admitted to, without admitting to, but he did imply that, hey, I kind of deliberately crashed into George Russell last week just to air out my grievances, nothing against George, but because the internal dispute between me and my team. I 100% think there should have been a harsher penalty given on him, right? He was given the Esteban Ocon treatment. He was given the 10-second penalty. That's it. Something else should have been obviously imposed on him. Now, when it comes to Max Verstappen this weekend, I'm not sure, Akivin. We talked about standards for the first half an hour of the show. I think Max is fully entitled to think that, hey, every time I step into a Formula One race car, my sole objective is to win. And if you're not stepping into the car thinking you're going to win, you might as well not step in. It's like Ayrton Senna's famous quote: "If there is a gap and you don't go for it, you're not a Formula One driver. You should retire." So I don't have a problem with Max Verstappen standards necessarily. It's rather just maturity, EQ, and composure. And unfortunately, I think for Max, what he realized last week was, damn, I'm not going to become a back-to-back 5-time Formula One champion. So I think that was the issue. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, in terms of Red Bull, look, it'll be interesting because everyone, for those who don't know, in Max Verstappen's contract, if he doesn't finish within the top 3 of the Drivers' Championship, he is free to go wherever he wants. Cough, cough, Adrian Newey, cough, cough, Mercedes. So just be careful. Be on the lookout for Max Verstappen because he's made it abundantly apparent that, hey, I don't want to be in Formula One forever. I don't want to be in Formula One like Fernando Alonso. I don't want to be in Formula One like Lewis Hamilton. I don't want to be chasing these longevity, these all-time records, which are remarkable. He just wants to conquer and then move on to the next thing, maybe a different type of motorsport, for example, activity, Le Mans. So with Max, just be careful. Be on the lookout. I don't know what the gap is. Can one of you tell me what's the gap between George and Max for third and fourth?
The gap between George and Max in third and fourth.
Yeah, I just want to know.
So the comment here earlier by what was it?
What's the book?
No, Mob Boss. So he came up with the stats. Here it is. Piastri
20 points.
It was 20 points.
Okay, and as King alluded to, if Mercedes are on this upward trajectory, then be careful. Don't discount Max Verstappen slipping into fourth, because as much as I truly believe that Max is the best driver, and as I've said before, and I'll say it again, the gap between the best and the rest has never been big before. And King, we've had debates back and forth about this on almost every stream, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. Max is not the Messiah. He's not a miracle worker. And then Mercedes do have a car that is like undoubtedly better than Red Bull on most circuits and most conditions. Then I would not be surprised if Verstappen slipped into fourth. At the same time, if McLaren sort of began a downward spiral, I would not be surprised if Max Verstappen slipped into the title fight. So when it comes to Max, I just think he needs to focus on his objective. When you have the fastest car, you maximize your output. When you have not the fastest car, you minimize the damage. That's what Max needs to do. And at the end of the season, hopefully he's in the top 3, maybe competing for a title. So, and then when it comes to Red Bull, man, that second seat is cursed. That second seat is cursed. I don't know what you need. I don't know what god or what magic or what dimension you need to unlock, but that second car looks tough. So, yeah.
King?
I just read into the Red Bull protest. I don't think it's childish. I don't think it. They have every right to protest what George did in under safety car conditions. I think the brake check, for me, he didn't need to do that because the race was going to end on the safety car because of the crash. The second one was another regulation issue, but this is the thing about Formula One.
King, I'll quickly let me say this: if it wasn't George Russell that won the race, they wouldn't have protested, in my opinion. But sorry, go on.
No, they would have protest regardless because this is a part of the sport. This is the thing that I was gonna say to finish my point with Red Bull is protesting. Protesting is a part of the sport. It's the dark arts. It's the things that teams have to do to get the edge. They protest regulations of the car. They protest the wings. They protest every single point because if you can get any edge on your opponents, you're gonna do that, and that comes with the territory, regardless of who is ahead of you. It's nothing. It's nothing to do with jealousy or it's the protests would have been nothing to do with Max Verstappen and George Russell. It would have been the team making those observations and saying, "Wait, you can't do those things. We're gonna lodge a complaint and see what the FIA do." Because in the end of the day, that's within their right. A lot of the time, it's silly stuff, but Mercedes does it, McLaren does it, Ferrari do it, Red Bull do it. Red Bull are the best at it because that gets into the head of the opponents. It's the psychology of the sport. That's why Red Bull in recent years have been the best. That's why before that Mercedes were the best. Because another factor that you need to know in sports is you can win before the race starts if you're in the head of the opponents. You saw that if you watch Drive to Survive, you saw that. Red Bull was thinking about Red Bull. Last year, McLaren was thinking about Red Bull. Ferrari was thinking about Red Bull. Mercedes was thinking about Red Bull. But when you're the leader, you're just thinking about yourself. The objective of making complaints is how other teams thinking about you, thinking about your Horner, thinking about your drivers. Because then they're not thinking about their team. They're confused. They're talking about other stuff. That's why you do that stuff. But in terms of the race, it wasn't much of a race. George had, as I said, George had the great start, and he was clear from there. There was no competition. He drove the perfect race. He controlled that race from start to finish, and I think Mercedes gave him the perfect platform, and he had the race speed to outlast Max because he had the better car. Because Mercedes was the faster car, in my opinion, and as I said before, the McLarens couldn't get past Kimi, and that's a bonus point onto Kimi that he was able to fend off both the McLarens, leading them to crash. So he fended them both on and got a podium position, the youngest driver ever to get a podium. Bravo to him as well. So that being said, in terms of the George Max, there was nothing in it. It was just a bit of silliness in terms of the after within the period of it being under safety car conditions. But that's the dark arts of the sport. I like it? No, it's just a part of the game. Some are better. Red Bull are the best at it. They've always been the best at it, especially in recent years. Mercedes used to do the same thing. Because in the end of the day, you want to get on the skin of the other team principal, of the other drivers. That adds to it. And in terms of Max, yeah, maybe he shouldn't be racing today, but that was last week's decision. We have to forget about that. Move on. It is what it is. Because that's what sport is. You have to move on. Bad decisions are made every week. As far as I'm concerned, whether it's referees in football, basketball, tennis, any sport, including Formula One, they make bad decisions. every week. And for me as well, I was annoyed that the safety car happened too late. And yeah, outside of that, perfect race from George. Mercedes were brilliant. They were the best team this weekend from start to finish, through practice dominant, qualifying dominant. Both of their drivers are on the podium. They fended off Max from the number one and Kimi, the youngest driver, to get podium. So Mercedes, bravo! You were the perfect team this weekend. McLaren needs to dust themselves off and go back to the drawing board, because they had a bad weekend. Ferrari had a bad weekend, and one side of Red Bull had a good weekend. But yeah, Mercedes, bravo, well done for the win. Well done, George. You're maturing as a driver. You're becoming better week and week. You're becoming the leader, the man. And it's great to see that he's leveling up. He's taking that leadership role with a perfect stride, and it's good to see a British driver um winning a race again. So it's always good to see George do well. Even though as a Ferrari fan, I want him to crash, but that's as a fan. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
And you also said that Mercedes would have been the next best car to win the race as well if it wasn't for McLaren as well. You did say in your. I gotta say, I don't know if you finished your point yet. If I asked you your point, I don't know if you're done with your point. Continue, bro.
No. I said everything I need to say, and you guys just consolidated it and said it better. So, look, at the end of the day, sorry?
I gave my points as well. Sorry, you finished.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, again, McLaren are still the fastest constructor. I still think they're going to win the championship. But yes, this does definitely add some flavor. This adds some spice. This adds some intrigue and interest to this championship. Shades of Hamilton versus Rosberg. It's planting the seeds of that. And then when it comes to Mercedes, King and Ekevin, you both are right. Mercedes are probably the best of the rest. And when I mean best of the rest, I mean the other 9 teams. So, and kudos to George, because to me, he's been my most improved driver this year. And yes, Kimi, youngest ever, as King said, youngest ever Formula One podium finisher. That is a tremendous accomplishment. And I'm sure that is the first of many podiums. He's going to be among the best in terms of the all-time lists. And when it comes to Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton, look, for Hamilton, yes, he may have had wing issues or chassis issues or whatever the issue was specifically. I'm not sure. But
it was a downforce. He had 20 points of loss, so he was losing half a second each lap.
Yeah, which is again almost insurmountable, right?
Yeah. His race was.
But still, I would say, as much as I've said this season is about Hamilton regaining rhythm, I have to be honest. Everyone knows I'm biased towards Lewis Hamilton. Ekevin, you know this more than anybody else. I'm very biased towards Lewis Hamilton, but hopefully by the end of the season, I say regaining rhythm. Hopefully he does recalibrate somewhat, because he cannot be finishing races 10 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. And I get today was about an issue, but almost every race this season, he's almost been 2 wheels behind Leclerc in terms of pace. Like, it's been nuts. So, yeah, I think we look to Austria. Austria will be fun. We'll see how Norris and Piastri rebound. I don't think they'll necessarily be changing their dynamics, because Oscar, the good thing about Oscar is he is a very composed driver, right? He's like Kimi Räikkönen in terms of composure, except infinitely more, because he actually does care about the sport. So, we'll see what happens. I don't think there'll be much more escalation with McLaren until after the summer break. And then when it comes to Max, I think Max and Russell will be vying for that best of the rest spot. And then for Hamilton, it's regaining his rhythm. So
yeah. Can I add one thing to the Lando point? Mercedes. I don't think there's gonna be issues with McLaren, because Lando acknowledged that he was in the wrong. So that normally when there's issues between the two drivers is when it's a 50-50. This wasn't. It was Lando's fault, 100%.
Can I also add, King? I was literally just on this a few minutes ago. It's on my TikTok. The last thing I watched on TikTok here. Oscar Piastri's response when he was asked, "Hey, Lando Norris accepted accountability." Oscar didn't straight up say, "Yeah, Lando was at fault." He was like, "You know what? I haven't seen the incident. I appreciate Lando Norris acknowledging it." So, point being here is both of them unbelievably mature, well more mature beyond their years. So kudos to them. I don't think McLaren is having an issue whatsoever. I think they'll win the constructors comfortably. Sorry, X-Men, go.
if he doesn't defend his car, if he doesn't defend for another season, I hope he will have the decency to take off the number 1 from his car.
Oh, I think he has to, right?
Max Verstappen.
Yeah. You're only the winner of a championship can have the number 1. It will just go back to the was it 33?
Yeah.
Or he actually might go to 3 because his favorite number is 3, and it was Danny Rick's number. But now Danny Rick's
And
not in the
he
spot.
and he is third. And he is third right now as well. So I only make
Yeah, so you might just go to 3.
I've been
But
adding
anyway.
insult to 3.
But anyways, you guys want to add anything before we close out?
Nope.
Oh yeah. I do want to add congratulations to Science to getting the point. He locked out on that one after the shock of qualifying. Yeah.
You did also say that he was going to get the most overtakes because obviously he finished in the lowest as well.
I don't know if he did. But
I don't
yeah.
think so. I don't think so. I don't.
They got lucky with the last what's it called, safety car. A lot of cars got lucky with the last safety car because Ocon got points, Hulkenberg got points, Alonso finished a respectable 7th. So yeah, man, Sainz got what he deserved because he should have been top 10 anyway. So
yep. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. Subscribe to King's channel, please. Obviously, get him to at least 40 subs if you can. 75 of you watching. You man, head over to YouTube, click the link, subscribe to AIN Sports, subscribe to AFA Academy 93. What you guys got coming up on your channels? You guys got anything? The world analysis. You got the shows coming out, King.
Yeah, so unless you've been living under a rock, for those watching, I'm sure you've heard the world is on the brink. There's a lot of chaos, conflict, catastrophe, casualties all across the world, especially in the Middle East. So King and I on Rumble every week, we intend on covering the world, dissecting what is happening in the world, what is next, giving our take. So for those watching, we'd really appreciate it if you could go to Rumble and drop authentic world analysis to follow, where tomorrow night, King, right? I think tomorrow night, we'll be dissecting what is happening in the Middle East. Are we on the brink of the deadliest war in recent history, or is things going to ease off? Tune into Authentic World Analysis for that. And Ekevin, of course, next time I see you, I'll probably be back for maybe Club World Cup, if not Formula One in Vienna.
Yeah. I'll let you know when's the next stream for that. But should be F1,
or Wimbledon, of course. Or Wimbledon, don't forget.
No, we got the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend as well, so we got that.
No, Austria's in a couple weeks.
Oh, it's not this week.
I think Wimbledon is sooner.
No, because Wimbledon starts in July, and June is, and we're not even we're only 2 weeks away from June being finished.
Ekevin, Wimbledon starts the last week of June, like June 29,
Really?
30.
I thought it starts in July.
Nope, just checked.
Wow. All right. Fair enough then. Fair enough. But yeah, Augusta will be back for Wimbledon and Austria. So make sure you guys do tune into this channel. King, tonight we have the NBA preview. I think at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it should be, 7:15 p.m. UK time, same time as the other day. But unfortunately, StreamYard had its own issues.
What the hell?
Yeah. I'll do NBA, and then afterwards I'll be on Rumble with Augustia, and then this week I'm gonna plan to put out videos discussing the group stage games of the Club World Cup. So I want to put videos out on after every 2 games just to discuss the games as well.
Is that the 2018 Real Madrid shirt that you're wearing right now?
I think so. It's the blue one.
Yeah, I have that as well. I have that.
Yo, Cristiano, Juve, anyone, deja vu?
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, 7:15 p.m. UK time. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, 7:15.
Right, cool.
So yeah, I'll be on AN and then Rumble, and then we'll also got a wrestling show on Wednesday, talking about everything WWE, everything, including the truth. And yeah, man, I'm planning to do more videos across the week with the Club World Cup, and I'll be on AN Sports for Formula One, for basketball, for football, and anything else you need me in. I'll be there, and I want to be there for Wimbledon. I'm getting back into tennis. Carlos to the world and back.
Yeah, King, we should do a stream on tennis as well. Like, you should join us. King and I had a great conversation a few hours the other day about tennis. nuts and
But
bolts.
yeah, like I
Yeah,
said,
oh yeah, and I want to do more sports streams as well. So if,
yeah,
I want to
you
get
can.
Augusti on my channel to talk sports and
Of
AN
course.
as well.
Of course, I'll be there. I'll be there. No worries. But yeah, like I said, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I'm close to 315 subs, 5 subs away from 315. If you guys get me, that'd be great. Thank you for 310, but come on, 315 would be great. Also, what was I gonna say again? NBA streams tonight.
One last
Yeah.
thing.
Go on.
Subscribe to Rasta Stocks. I'm gonna be there on his channel.
Yeah.
We're doing videos on Wednesday and Thursday. One on my channel, one on his. Talking footy, 45-minute footy talk with me and also
Yeah.
you two are welcome to join us if you're around.
Of course. And
How many?
that Club World Cup show was lit, honestly, King. That Club World Cup show we did was fire. So
Yeah,
if you
man.
haven't
Yeah,
checked it out,
everyone.
please check it out.
Yeah,
Sorry.
everyone. King mentioned Rasta stocks. Yeah, invest in Rasta early, right? Because he's gonna be shot to the moon soon. So be one of the early OGs right here.
Yeah.
Also, people, Wednesday, Josh is back on the channel for
Who? I don't know who you're talking about. You mean John Goebel, right?
Yeah, John Goldman.
Yeah, John Goebel.
3 p.m. my time, 9 a.m. UK time. We'll be live talking about the Premier League fixture release, so make sure you guys do check that out. Tonight, NBA transfers United show. So your United show with Rasta, transfer show, F1 show. We got the what's it called this weekend? I also have a special Boston Celtics show coming up on the 17th of June because that was the day we won our championship last year. Just a bit of a throwback show, and just to discuss the off-season talks as well. So make sure you guys do tune into that one. Any Celtics fan watching, anyone who supports the Celtics that wants to tune in, please make sure you do so. But yeah, anything left? Anything you want to say before we close out? Anything else? Cool. All right, I guess we'll close it out here then. Like, share, subscribe. Forza Ferrari. Take care.